Welcome back to CanHammer, everybody. Tonight's read along, the Tau Codex. Welcome back to CanHammer, everybody, your source for 40k from the Great White North. At long last, we have the read-along for Codex Tau. Now, I've been away and then extremely busy at work, so this is a little bit delayed, but apologies for that. But I am excited for this Codex because I am a recently acquired Tau player, and I want to see what new toys I get. So I'm pretty excited about this. Since it's been out for about a week, even though I've not read through it. There's been a lot of talk about it, and as usual, Tau players seem to be extremely polarized as to whether this is good or bad, and tried to ignore most of that chatter and salt as it washes over me. But we'll see for ourselves what this codex holds. So we might as well get started. I've got the old Index 2 here for comparison if we need it. Alright, the first thing you notice is that it's very like robotic, sort of, with like the font and this sort of the blue color and the sort of honeycombing around the side. It's pretty cool. So we'll skip the fluff as usual. Alright, so the rules start at page 88 out of 135. So again, as usual, it's about 2/3 fluff, and the rest of it is the rules. So let's get started with the rules. So keywords, of course, the chapters of Tau are the sept keyword, and of course you pick your sept. There's a special thing here. Commander Farsight, of course, has the Farsight Enclaves keyword, which is slightly different from the sept keyword. That's kind of his sept, but it's not. You're not going to see the sept on his data sheet. Okay. So it says here at the bottom that the Tau of the Enclaves rejects the dominion of the ethereal castes, so you can never take an ethereal that's of Farsight Enclave. So that's kind of fluff-based restriction there. So drones. Here's a quick thing about drones. Many Tau empires allow units to be accompanied by drones. They don't take up a battlefield role and have a power rating of 0. Tactical drones have their own data sheet. Okay, so here are the abilities. So for the greater good has not really changed. When an enemy declares a charge with this ability that is within 6 inches of one of the charging unit's targets, they may fire Overwatch as if it was also targeted. It does not. If it does so, it cannot fire Overwatch again this turn. So that obviously makes charging Tau that is clumped together extremely dangerous, as I felt already in some games I've played against Tau, and so that's their kind of army thing, the old supporting fire. So interestingly enough, the Kauyon and Monka ability that used to be on the commanders is now a rule instead of being on their data sheet. So this is now called Master of War, and a single commander at the beginning of your turn, once per battle, can declare Kauyon or Monka, and I believe that this is unchanged. Let's look it up. So Master of War before, Kauyon, until the end of the turn, reroll failed hit rolls for units within 6 inches, but these units cannot move for any reason. Yeah, so it's unchanged. And Monka, of course, is the ability to advance and shoot as if they hadn't moved. And that is it. So we'll go on. We won't cover every single data sheet I'll just point out to you the things that have changed mostly. The one thing that has changed is savior protocols. Let's look up. So the old savior protocols was that if your drone is within 3 inches, you can just choose to allocate any wounds to the drone instead of the target. The new savior protocol is that you have to roll a dice, and on a 2+, you can allocate the wound. So you do have a 1 in 6 chance of failing. It's now become like a lookout sir roll from the old days. So that is something that has changed. Let's see. I won't go through these data sheets. I don't think they've changed very much. You still have the old commanders and everything, and I believe the commander is basically the same. The Cold Star commanders changed. Cold Star commander, I hear now, is the real star of the army. Let's see, commander in Cold Star battlesuit. So, in terms of what it can take, so it has a high output burst cannon and a missile pod, and that's what it used to have before. But now war gear options. Before it used to just take 2 items from the support system. Now it can replace its cannon and missile pod with ranged weapons and or support systems, and take 2 additional ranged weapons and or support systems. So now it can take 4 weapons, whereas before it could take 4 weapons. It couldn't take 4 weapons, and it was limited to just the burst cannon and the missile pod. So you could now make a fusion Cold Star commander, which obviously is quite strong because this thing moves 20 inches, which is amazing, and adds 20 inches in advance. So, and it can deep strike. So, the Cold Star commander is pretty powerful. And your standard commander, and I believe it's not really changed. And yeah, commander and XV8 crisis battlesuit. So now there's the ability to take an XV02 Crisis Iridium battlesuit, which of course used to be a relic, I believe, in 7th, and that increases it to a 2+ save. Still no invul, no, but these guys have the character protection. Okay, so let's go on. I don't think these guys have changed very much. One thing to note though is Onva, Onshi, Shadow Sun, which these 3 named characters are Tausept for Onva and Viola Sept for Onshi, so you can't just take them in generic or other septs. And Shadow Sun is Tausept, so just make note of that. Farsight obviously is Farsight Enclaves, and the Ethereal you can use for anybody except for Farsight. Fireblade, still a okay little HQ. Gives all your Fire Warriors an extra shot, which is great. So 3-shot Fire Warriors seems to be a powerful thing in the Codex these days. Darkstrider, of course, is a great HQ. He is Tau Sept only, so keep that in mind. And in terms of abilities that he has now, I think they're basically the same as he had before. So he has the ability to add 1 to wound rolls for infantry for any unit that is visible to Darkstrider within 6 inches. So if your infantry is within 6 inches of him, he can pick a unit that's visible and then add 1+1 wound rolls for any infantry attacking that target, which is amazing. And then he also has a sort of scout move, 7 inches at the beginning of the game. And also he allows infantry units within 6 inches of him to shoot even though they fall back. So he is quite a good little HQ. And for reasons as you'll find out later, you're going to be needing to take some HQs other than Commanders, and Dark Strider is definitely something to consider if you're running Tau Sept. So a little bit confusing, but we'll go over that later. So Long Strike is up here, as opposed to being back where the tanks used to be. Kind of swizzled it around a little bit. So he is an HQ, of course. He came down in power, which is no big deal. Otherwise, he's the same. In terms of his abilities, let's see if anything's different. Okay, I think this ability is different here. So this ability is called XV02 Battlesuit. Long Strike's gunship treats the number of Markalite counters on an enemy unit affected by Markalites as being 1 higher. Now, that's not clear if that automatically means that they have 1 Markalite even if it's 0, or if you have to have a Markalite on to be treated as 1 higher. But I would probably just treat it as automatically as 1 Markalite. And anyway, he does add 1 hit to the hit rolls for hammerheads as usual, and he adds 1 to wound roll when shooting at vehicles and monsters, which is the same as before. So that's a little new thing there, that he treats Markalites as being 1 higher. I can't see that in his old thing. And then the other thing to note, of course, is that Long Strike is also just Tau Sept. You can't use him in any old detachment. So there we go. That's Long Strike. Breachers and Strike Team, I don't believe have changed in terms of rules or statistics. They've just been reduced in price, which we'll see later. Bonding Knife Ritual, which is just a standard ability for these Fire Warriors. So on a 6th morale test, it's automatically passed, which is pretty cool. Savior Protocols, yep, changed to reflect the new Savior Protocols. That's your basic troops, and the Kroot as well. And the Kroot, I think, are pretty much unchanged. I have a lot of Kroot. I just want to see if they got any buffs. I don't think they did. Buffing Kroot would be cool, but yeah, so they're basically the same. We'll see if their points have changed, but they're otherwise the same. Kroot Shaper, Krootox Riders. Okay. Stealth Battleshoots, I don't believe changed at all, which is an item that I've heard people crying about. But Stealth Battleshoots do have their little uses. Let's just check these out. So Stealth Battlesuits, Bonding Knife Ritual, Camouflage Field, so subtract 1 from targeting them, Homing Beacon, Infiltrators, yeah, so they haven't changed. The Crisis Battlesuits, I believe, have not changed. Alright. Crisis Bodyguards, Farsight Marksmen. So Farsight Marksmen are a cool little unit, and I don't think I've ever even heard of them until recently. And in fact, I'm just trying to find them in the old index. And here we are. So Farsight Marksman, of course, is a little character, a 1 power character, so probably pretty cheap in points, but hits on a 3 and can take a marker light. So that is definitely something to consider using. And of course has like a camel cloak sort of ability, and adds 1 to the hit rolls for sniper drones near it. So sniper drones will be hitting on 3s as well. So that's a pretty neat little unit that can easily fill up elite slots in your brigade. So let's go on to the Ghost Keel. Ghost Keel here is okay. So, you know, it's ballistic skill 4 as usual, but it does deteriorate because it's a big battle suit with 10 wounds. That's too bad. If they'd only made it 9 wounds, so like 1 less wound to make it better, like maybe make it a character or something. But I guess it couldn't really reasonably do that. So anyway, its weapons have gotten better, and what we'll talk about the weapons afterwards. Yeah, well, actually, its weapons are the same. And then let's see what else has changed. So it has the native built-in -1 to hit if you're shooting it from more than 6 inches away. It of course can infiltrate. It's a little bit not as good as scouts because it has to be 12 inches away from any enemies. And then it can come with stealth drones, which have safer protocols and a stealth field. Models shooting at a stealth drone or ghost kill within 3 inches of any stealth drone subtract 1 from their hit rolls, cumulative with the ghost kill. So actually a ghost kill is natively, if it has stealth drones, -2 to hit, which is great. That's very cool. But then probably, like, what is the ghost kill doing? That's people's complaints. So yes, they're very good at infiltrating and taking up space, but so are other things that are cheaper. Has a fusion gun that's sitting on 4s, not very good in combat. So, but probably depending on the cost, which we'll see later, there may be a role in Ghost Kill in order to help you control the battlefield. Because certainly -2 to hit is pretty difficult to shoot at. So the Riptide. So this is what everyone is looking out for. Has the Riptide been improved? Well, I'll tell you what has been improved. So his statistics have not really changed at all. Still hits on a 4+, moves 12 inches, degrades, and it comes with the heavy burst and the 2 smart missile systems. You can take drones with it, of course. So, but here is what has changed. The burst cannon is now a 36-inch heavy 12. 6 -1, 2 damage. This is improved from heavy 8 and 6 -1, 1 damage, and it has got cheaper. We'll cover that in a second. But so that is already automatically 4 extra shots for less points and an extra damage. And 2 damage is a huge boon over doing 1 damage. You're killing Primaris, you're killing lots of other things with less shots. It's way more efficient. So that's the heavy burst cannon. And then when you Nova charge this with the Nova reactor, your heavy burst, where does it say that? Yeah, so heavy burst cannon goes to heavy 18 from heavy 12. 18 shots. That is crazy. And I'll know people are going to complain about Tau being ballistic skill 4+, but as we'll see later when we talk about marker lights, they're really easy to get you up to that 3+. So I don't complain about the 4+ at all because it's easy to get past that. But this heavy burst cannon has now gone up to heavy 12, heavy 18 on overcharge, 6 -1, 2 damage, which is crazy. The ion accelerator has also changed. It used to be heavy heavy 3. Now it's heavy D6, which, okay, I personally like straight up 3 better than D6, but it's gone up to base strength 8 instead of 7, -3, and it does D3 damage in its standard instead of 1. So that's obviously a buff, and it's a lot cheaper now. The overcharge is now heavy D6, which it was before, but now it's strength 9, -3, 3 damage straight up instead of D3. So that is a big buff. And then Nova charge turns it into straight up heavy 6. Whereas before it used to still be heavy D6. So this used to be the Nova charge profile. Now it's just the overcharge profile. and you still have missile pods and things like that, which have unchanged, and smart missile systems. So the Riptide has gotten better in terms of its weapons. They're way better and a lot cheaper. The battlesuit itself is a lot cheaper, which we're going to see when we look at the points. And otherwise, it's unchanged. So it has 2-up armor, a 5+ invul, and its Nova charge can give it a 3+ invul. So the Riptide itself is better. And who knows what stratagems the Riptide is going to get. Did it get a double shoot stratagem like I've predicted to give it the old Riptide wing benefit? We'll see. Pathfinders, I think, are pretty much unchanged. The ion rifle is still a pretty strong gun. In fact, the ion rifle is buffed to 2 damage from 1 damage on overcharge. So that's pretty good. There's lots of ways, as we said, of re-rolling 1s in Tau. So almost army-wide re-roll 1s with the marker lights. So Pathfinders are a neat little unit with a 30-inch range, 8 -1, 2 damage gun. So pretty good. As a fast attack slot, Piranhas, I don't know if these guys have changed at all, so you'll have to excuse me, but I think they're pretty much unchanged. Yeah, so Piranha's another fast attack choice. And then your drones. Your drones haven't changed at all, I don't think, except for price. Rules are otherwise the same. Yep, and then the weapons have changed. So just the price of the drones have changed, as we'll look at later. Vespids we won't talk about. I still don't think you're going to see these guys. They're just not that good. Yeah, Coot Hounds you might see as a really cheap fast attack choice. They do hit on 3s in combat, which is probably the best combat unit in the Tau Codex. And they have 2 attacks base, so you can run a bunch of these guys for fairly cheap. And the reroll charge rolls if the unit they're charging has suffered any wounds this turn from the rest of the army. So cheap fast attack slot for brigades. The broadside. So the broadside has improved mostly because it's come down in price. Its stats have not really changed, but also I believe the rail rifle has gotten a lot better. Let's just draw it up here. Where's my broadsides? Okay. So the broadside, so the rail rifle is unchanged. Heavy. Its weapons are unchanged, and actually it has lost the bonding knife ritual, which it used to have. It doesn't have that anymore, which is the morale pass on the 6. Yeah, but you can only take, units of 3 of these guys, so morale is probably not a big deal with a leadership of 8 with the Shazray, so whatever, that doesn't really matter. Maybe that's why they took it out. And then it has drone support. So I think the main change for the broadside is points. Its power has come down. So there you go. They were just too expensive before. Hammerhead, I believe, is unchanged. Let's see. Yeah. Yep, so Hammerhead hasn't changed. The one thing is that in the index there's no stat line for it, and here it's 8 - 2 d6, so it's like a crack missile. So that's interesting. So I think that was the statistics for it before, but so attached drones, threats, so it basically has the same rules. So Hammerheads are unchanged, and except for possibly the points. There's the Sky Ray. So Sky Ray, of course, comes with 2 marker lights and has 6 seeker missiles. So the thing about seeker missiles in Tau is that they hit on a 6, which obviously sucks. But you have to, once you put marker lights on things, then they hit normally. And these things do have a ballistic skill of 3+. These tanks, the Hammerhead, and again the Sky Ray, and it has 6 crack missiles. So so there you go. I don't know if it's worth taking just for 6 crack missiles, but yeah. I guess you could shoot all 6 in one turn, and then it becomes a little bit useless. But it has a velocity tracker which lets it hit fly units with a +1. to hit, so that's pretty good. So sniper drones, which are heavy support, they are hitting on 5s, so you definitely need to improve their ballistic skill with marker lights and or with the Firesight Marksman. And they, of course, are a 48-inch range strength 5 sniper gun, which inflicts mortals on 6+. So, they are -1 to hit outside of 12 inches firing at them. So there's definitely some play in that. And there are, let's look back at the Firesight Marksman, if he buffs them in any other way. So he just adds 1 to their hit rolls, which is obviously good. So there you go. Their points, I believe, are a bit expensive. We'll have a look at those in a second. And the Devilfish here is pretty much unchanged, but I believe the points have come down. So we'll look in a second. And of course, this guy can transport 12 infantry or drones. Razor Shark, I still don't think you're going to see any of these flyers. There's just much better stuff now in the Codex. Shark Bomber and the gun line. The shield line, the tide wall. Here it is. And the Storm Surge. So let's have a look at the Storm Surge. So still toughness 7, 20 wounds. I believe it's come down in price, but we're gonna see 22 power. So yeah, still hits on 4+, and its weapons. So the airburst fragmentation. Let's see if any of its weapons have changed. Let's see. So the Pulse Blast Cannon is unchanged. The medium range does 3 damage now instead of does 4 damage now instead of 3, and the long range does 2 damage instead of 1. So that's a slight buff on the Pulse Blast Cannon. So the Pulse Driver Cannon is now heavy D6 as standard, whereas before you needed to shoot a unit of 10 or more models to get heavy D6. So that's a slight buff there. Otherwise, everything else is the same. Yeah. So they have added the kind of Titanic ability. So in the Index, it could fall back and move and shoot, but it can't step over infantry like knights can. In the new Codex now, it can fall back and shoot, etc. But when it does, it can move over enemy infantry models just like knights. So that's a big improvement for the Storm Surge. Yeah. Cool. Okay. So in terms of weaponry, here we go. I think we've already pointed out the main changes to weaponry, which is mostly to the Riptide's weapons. Let's have a look at the support systems and see if any of those changed. Alright, so the marker light table finds its way back here now. So the marker light table is reroll 1s for 1 marker light. Seeker missiles shoot at normal ballistic skill for 2 marker lights. 3 marker lights is no cover. 4 marker lights is no penalty for heavy weapons, advancing, firing assault weapons. And 5 or more marker lights is add 1 to hit rolls. So that's been unchanged basically. So advanced targeting systems increases the APs, that's unchanged. Counterfire defense system, reroll fail hit rolls when overwatching, so that's unchanged. The Iridium battlesuit is back here, so it is a support system now. Let's see, yeah, so it wasn't there before, so it's a support system which gives you a 2+ save, and so that's interesting. So let's see, was it actually in the commander data slate before? No. So it wasn't a support system or in the data slate before. and of course they had no relics. So yeah, we just didn't have it before, and now we can give the commanders a 2+ save for the cost of 1 support system. Drone control, of course, we roll hit rolls for drones. Early warning override is interceptors unchanged. Multi-tracker is shooting. Reroll hit rolls of 1 in the shooting phase for a model equipped with a multi-tracker if it fires all its weapons at the same target and that target contains 5 or more models. Okay. So that is definitely a new stipulation for multi-tracker. Shield generator is a 4+ invuln. You can't take it on a Riptide, so that's the same as before. Stimulant Injector, it was a 6+ feel no pain, and that is no longer here as a support system. So the Stimulant Injector is gone. And the target lock model does not suffer penalty for moving and firing heavy weapons. Yeah, so that's unchanged, and velocity tracker gives you +1 hit against fly, and that's still there. So the Stimulant Injector is gone, so it's either a relic or a stratagem or something, and in goes the Iridium battlesuit. Okay, let's move on to the good stuff. Okay. So, Tau special rules, Warriors of the Greater Good. So this says that troops are, of course, OBSEC. So that is the same as every other army. Matched play rule, 1 commander per detachment. So if you have 8 commander models, you can't use them anymore. I don't know what to do with those models. You know, turn them into statues. I don't know. But 1 commander per detachment. So almost certainly you're going to see most Tau armies have 3 detachments, just so you can bring 3 commanders, because they're still extremely good. They're the ones who give you the Kaoyan and the Monka. They're the only people, it seems, hitting on 2+, and they have access to the Cold Star battle chute, can fly around the field with 4 fusion guns. So definitely you're still going to see commanders. Probably there's a bunch of stratagems that queue off of neck being near commanders, so hopefully it'll become more of a general buffing unit than the only strong shooting thing in your army, although they're still very strong. So that is an interesting limitation. There's a lot of debate out there right now whether that was the right way to nerf commanders or not. Certainly there are some other strong HQ models in the game that are being spammed. Hive Tyrants are a prime example. So do you just limit them? Like, what's the best way to deal with these highly powerful HQ units that can be spammed in Supreme Commands, like Shield Captains and Custodies and things like that? I don't know. I don't know if this is the best way or not, but this is what they have chosen to do for Tau. There's the Sept Tenets, of course, and Alien Auxiliaries. Inclusion of Kroot and or Vespid does not take away their Sept Tenet, but Kroot and Vespid never get these Sept Tenets or chapter tactics for Tau. So what are these Sept Tenets? Well, here we are. So Tau Sept, which is perhaps the worst name because this faction is called Tau, and then you have the Tau Sept. That's very confusing. Could have thought of some other name for it. So Tau Sept, coordinated fire arcs. So when you use the For Greater Good ability, they overwatch on a 5+ instead of 6+. So that is great. When a unit with this ability uses Greater Good, or when they fire Overwatch within 6 inches of a friendly Tau Sept unit, a 5 or 6 is required, irrespective of the firing model's ballistic skill. So they Overwatch on a 5+, which makes Tau Sept quite anti-assault. You have to make it through a lot of Overwatch hitting on 5s in order to get into combat with Tau Sept models. So that is pretty good. And of course, Tau Sept is something you're going to see most commonly because some of the HQs you can only take in Tau Sept. So I think you're going to see a lot of Tau Sept. Viorla Sept, Strike Fast. If a unit with this tenet advances, it treats rapid fire weapons as assault weapons until the end of the turn. In addition, so that means you can shoot rapid fire weapons with a -1 to shoot. In addition, models with this tenet do not suffer the penalty for advancing and firing assault weapons. So therefore, your rapid fire weapons become assault weapons and without the penalty if you advance. So that's okay. There are a lot of rapid fire weapons, all your fire warriors and things like that. There are also a lot of assault weapons. So I think that's generally a decent Sept to take. And certainly, I think what you're going to see is Tau armies being 3 detachments, and each detachment is going to focus on a particular type of unit, and that each one will have a different sept. So you're going to see all the things with rapid fire weapons as Vjorla and etc. So let's go on. So Dalith, a unit with this tenet, does not Manta Strike, move, fallback, charge, pilot, or consolidate. It claims the benefit of cover even in the open. So if you don't move at all, then you get cover. Okay, that's okay, but I feel like it's not going to be super strong. Sasia Sept. Add 1 to leadership of models. In addition, you can reroll a single failed hit roll when a unit with this tenet shoots. Okay, so it's like a free command point for every unit, and +1 leadership. Leadership's not high totally across the board, so that's okay. Not quite as good as Salamanders, where you can also reroll wound, but Borkon. So Borkon Sept is add 6 inches to the range of rapid fire and heavy weapons. So that is pretty good. So you're going to see fire warriors with much further range. Obviously your Riptides and stuff, all this heavy weapons, much further range. What people have been noticing, of course, is that if you make your Yavara Borkon Sept, which it can do, now the Flamer, which previously was 8 inches and not usable in 9-inch charges, you couldn't use it if you deep struck down, now becomes 14 inches and becomes that much more threatening. So I think if you're going to see Yavaras, you're going to see them as Borkon Sept. And that seems to be a pretty powerful combination. So missile systems, for example, missile systems are 30-inch range, now they're 36-inch range. That's pretty good. All your pulse things, from 30-inch range to 36-inch range, which of course increases their rapid fire range to 18. So pretty good. Marker lights going up to 42-inch range. That's a pretty nice little tenet there. And Farsight Enclaves, so we roll wound rolls of 1 for shooting attacks against enemy units that are within 6 inches of the firing model. So as Farsight is supposed to be the melee arm of Tau, I guess, there is a up close and personal type sept. So here you go. Okay, stratagems. Let's go into some stratagems. Okay, multi-spectrum sensor suite. Enemy units cannot claim the benefit, so that's an ignore cover stratagem. For battlesuit shooting, failsafe detonator. When a battlesuit unit from your army is destroyed, you can make roll a dice for each friend or foe within 3 inches. On 4+ suffers 1 mortal wound. Okay. 2 CPs for repair. Pick a vehicle or battlesuit. Gains D3 lost wounds for 2 CPs. It seems a bit steep. I think that's probably worth just 1 CP. But it seems like most of the CPs, almost all the CPs on this page are 1 CP. And there's a couple of 2s and just 1 3. So it looks like you're going to need a bunch of CPs with Tau. And luckily, though, they have a lot of ways of filling out cheap brigades. We'll have to add one up, but people have been telling me that you can run a cheaper Tau brigade than a guard brigade, which is crazy because they have crude hounds and drones and things which all count as slots. So that might be the way to go, is for one of your detachment to be like a 400 point brigade to get you all those CPs that you need. Neural web system jammer for 2 CPs. Enemy unit within 18 inches of a commander subtracts 1 from hit rolls. That's decent, but again, 2 CP seems steep. Repulsor impact field for a CP. After an enemy unit successfully charges a battlesuit from your army, roll a D3 from each model within the unit, and that on a 6 they get a mortal wound. Okay, but you're still probably dead if you got charged. Command and control node for a CP. Use this stratagem at the start of your shooting phase. Pick a sept commander from your army. That commander may not shoot, but 1 battlesuit from your army within 6 inches of it rerolls failed wound rolls. That's pretty good. So in the game, there aren't a lot of things that allow you to reroll wound rolls. So anything that affects the wound roll is obviously very powerful, and even standard like guns on Fire Warriors on Tau is strength 5, and everything else kind of goes up from there, strength 6, strength 7, strength 8. So I think being able to reroll wound rolls is a large efficiency for Tau, or rerolling ones to wound roll, but rerolling all failed wound roll is very good. So for 1 CP, you park your commander next to a Riptide or something. So it's just one battle suit unit. Okay, so you park them next to a whole bunch of broadsides, and we're shooting a whole bunch of missiles, and that is a pretty good efficiency there for 1 CP. So I like that one, command and control node. EMP grenade, you do D3 mortals to a vehicle by throwing the grenade. The grenade is 12 inches though, so that's pretty good. Hunting hounds, when a Crew Hound unit from your army completes a charge, reroll failed charge rolls for other friendly Crew units that are within 12 inches of that unit. Okay. Uplinked Marker Light, so this is the one from chapter approved. You get D3 plus 1 Marker Lights for a hit instead of just 1 for 1 CP, and I think that is so good. I think you're going to be using that every time you shoot Marker Lights, so you can get yourself up to that 5 Marker Light level where you get Ballistic Skill 3 or a plus 1 to hit. So I think for 1 CP, Uplink Marker Light is a great stratagem. Branched Nova Charge. Okay, so now we're going to start seeing what the Riptide gets, I guess. So the Nova Charge, when you choose a Riptide to Nova Charge, you can choose 2 effects instead of 1 for 1 CP. Okay, so that makes you take a mortal wound when you Nova Charge, and that means you get more for your buck. You spend a CP, and now you can give it 3 plus invuln and your heavy 18 heavy burst cannon, which is pretty good. Or heavy burst cannon and the 2d6 kind of jump move. So I really like this stratagem. Support turret replacement. Use this stratagem at the end of your movement phase. Pick a strike team or breacher team. You may immediately set up a new tactical support unit turret and coherency as described in their support turret ability. Okay. I don't know. I don't think we're going to end up using that much. I haven't seen many support turrets. Defense targeting relay. Use this when enemy declares a charge against a vehicle. You can overwatch on a 5 or 6. Okay, there we go. That's overwatch. Emergency dispensation. Use this stratagem before the battle. Your army can have 1 extra. Oh, it says the relic one. Relic stratagems. Weird. That is all the way over here instead of over here. But anyway, orbital ion beam for 3 CP. If your Tau Empire commander did not move or use Manta Strike, you can pick 2 points on the battlefield 2d6 inches apart, draw an imaginary straight line 1 millimeter wide between these 2 points, and roll a dice for each unit, friend or foe, that has models under this line. Subtract 1 from the result if it's a character. On a 4+, suffers D3 mortal wounds. So that's their orbital strike, but it's a line instead of a circle with a radius. Anyway, those things are not really that good. You're doing like a 3 mortal wounds in total to like a bunch of units. So yeah, it's not really worth 3 CP. Breach and clear. Use this stratagem in your shooting phase before a breacher team from your army shoots at an enemy. They reroll failed wound rolls against the enemy unit. Okay, again, a way of making your lowly breachers and fire warriors that much better. Rerolling wounds. Recon sweep. So pathfinders can immediately move 2d6 but can't shoot or charge. So that can be situationally useful to get on objectives. Wall of Mirrors. So your Wall of Mirrors ability is now a 1 CP stratagem. At the start of your movement phase, pick stealth battlesuit unit from your army that's within 6 inches of a ghost keel. You can immediately move at the start of your movement phase. Immediately move the stealth battlesuit unit from the battlefield and set it up again anywhere within 12 inches of that ghost keel and more than 9 inches from an enemy. This does not count as falling back if it was within 1 inch of an enemy when it was removed. Okay, so that's an interesting stratagem. So you can move, you get picked up and you come back down, but you have to be still within 12 inches of that battlesuit, and you have to start within 6 inches of it anyway. I guess it's a way of getting around onto an objective, getting yourself out of combat, obviously. Just kind of getting some free movement, slingshotting. If you're 6 inches behind the ghost keel, now you're 12 inches in front of the ghost keel. I can see some use for that, and it's only 1 CP. Oh, okay, so the Stimulant Injector is here now. Stimulant Injector is choose a battlesuit model with a wounds characteristic of 10 or more, so we're talking Riptides and things like that. The Storm Surge is not a battlesuit, so this doesn't apply to the Storm Surge. Let me just check that, because if the Storm Surge is not a battlesuit, then it misses out on all these battlesuit stuff. Yeah, so the Storm Surge is a vehicle Titanic. It's not a battlesuit. So, and the Stimulant Injector, until the end of the turn, you use the top row of the model's damage table, regardless of how many wounds it has left, and if it dies, then it dies. So that's pretty good for a CP. It allows you to shoot at full ballistic skill, even if you're almost dead. So I quite like that stratagem. And to be honest, it's probably more useful than Feel No Pain. Focused Fire. So I had this used against me a few days ago. It is pretty powerful. It is basically kind of the Astra Militarum overlapping fields of fire stratagem. So for 3 CP, after a Tau Sept unit from your army inflicts an unsaved wound on an enemy unit in the shooting phase, you can add 1 to the wound rolls for any Tau Sept units from your army that target the same enemy unit this phase. So this is a Tau Sept stratagem. So this is the Tau Sept exclusive stratagem. So remember that, it's not all Tau. You have to inflict an unsaved wound, then everybody else shooting at it gets +1 to wound, which is great. +1 to wound is really good. That's why freaking Blood Angels is good. +1 to wound is not something you see a lot of in 40k because it's very strong, and so there you go. 3 CP to, if you really need something dead. Even your fire warriors are wounding on 4s, heavy things, your rail rifles and all that stuff wounding on 3s or 2s. I mean, this is a really good stratagem, and yeah, really good. Okay, so the Dalith stratagem is Strike and Fade. You can shoot and then move up to 6 inches as if it were the movement phase, which is pretty good. Sort of the old sort of jetpack move, I guess. But Dalith's probably not super strong. The Borkon strategy, use the stratagem. The army fires a ranged weapon that makes a random number of attacks. You can re-roll 1 of those dice. So that's decent, I guess. But you spend a CP for that. Positional relay, the Tau is not a specific stratagem. So for 2 CP, recon drones, you can set up the unit wholly within 6 inches of the recon drone when they drop in. Okay, and it doesn't say it still has to be 9 inches away from the enemy. Now, I think that needs to be FAQ'd. Yeah, definitely needs to be FAQ'd, but for 2 CP, maybe it is intended that it can go within 9 inches of an enemy when you drop down within 6 inches of a recon zone using this stratagem. So, okay, so Viola for 2 CP, pick an enemy, Viola Sept infantry unit. That unit can shoot twice this phase, but all models in the unit must target the closest enemy unit each time they do so. So, a bit of a restriction there, but otherwise infantry unit can shoot twice, so not that strong for 2 CP probably. Too bad this is not a Riptide stratagem. Yeah, and also wouldn't be that useful because you have to shoot the closest enemy unit, but still, yeah. So Sasia gets orbital marker distribution uplink for 2 CP. At the start of your shooting phase, pick an enemy unit visible to a Sasia Sept character. That unit and all other enemy units within 6 inches of it gain a marker light counter. Okay, so for 2 CP, you're slapping a marker light on everybody within 6 inches of this. And so that's a reroll 1s to hit on all those people for free, well, for 2 CP. That's not too bad. And Farsight Enclairs. So Farsight Enclairs gets drop zone clear for 2 CP. Use this stratagem at the start of your shooting phase. Choose the Farsight Enclaves battlesuit unit from your army that was set up using Manta Strike. Add 1 to hit rolls. So this is really kind of, you get your detachment of Farsight crisis suits. You drop them in to get to. There's a thing that lets them reroll wound rolls or something. 2 CP they can reroll hit rolls. I don't know how that strong it's going to be because at the end of the day, if you don't kill everything, which you won't, you're going to get rocked. So yeah. Okay, Warlord Traits. So here are the generic Tau Warlord traits. So Precision of the Hunter, reroll wound rolls of 1 for your Warlord against vehicles or monsters. through Unity Devastation. In each of your shooting phases, you can pick an enemy unit that's visible to your Warlord until the end of the phase. Each time you make a wound roll of 6+ against that unit made by a friendly sept unit within 6 inches of your Warlord. The armor penetration characteristic is improved, so that's decent. That's like the Space Marines one, so pretty decent. A Ghost Walks Among Us. When your Warlord advances at 6 instead of rolling. Okay, your Warlord's probably going to be a commander. Through Boldness Victory, if your Warlord's within 12 inches of an enemy unit at the start of your shooting phase, you can reroll failed hit rolls for your Warlord. Exemplar of the Carrion. Reroll failed hit rolls for your Warlord as long as they have not moved. If they have moved, they lose the trait. Not good. And Exemplar of the Monka. Warlord can advance and still shoot as if they hadn't advanced. So obviously that's a good one to go on a commander. I don't know, none of these are super good. Probably this one that gives you the extra AP, that turns all your Fire Wars into heavy bolters basically. So I think that's probably a good one. You just sit, you know, like a Dark Strider. Oh, he probably has a known one. Yeah, you sit something at the back, and you know, gives everybody -1 AP. The specific ones, so Tau Sept can take roll a d6 for each mortal wound inflicted on a Warlord. He gets a 5-up Feel No Pain. Viola, Academic Luminary. If your Warlord has the Master of War, Volley Fire, or Failure Non-Option ability, the range of the ability is increased to 9 inches. Okay. And you get an extra command point. Delith, friendly Kroot and Vesper units gain for the greater good ability. Woohoo! Sacia, Beacons of Honor. Friendly Sacia units reduce number of models that flee by 1. Secret Protection Borkon. Each hit roll of 6+ adds 1 to the wound roll for that attack. Not bad. And Farsight Enclaves. Warlord can perform heroic interventions within 6 inches. Not good for Tau, obviously. Okay, Relics. Let's see. So we have the Pure Tide Engram Neuro Chip. Once per battle, you can reroll a single hit roll, wound roll, or damage roll. And if you're Battle Forged, which you will be, on a 6, you get a command point every time you or your opponent uses a stratagem. So that may be the auto take for Tau, just because its CP recycling ability is here, and so that kind of makes that the auto take relic of the book, no matter what everything else is. It seems to be the trend. Okay, gauntlets, you know, leadership stuff. Destabilizer, blah blah blah. Supernova launcher replaces air bursting fragmentation projector, and yeah, makes it shoot out of line of sight. As I say, I don't think any weapon ones replace things like CP regeneration. Vectored maneuvering thrusts. This flamer for Viola. Delith, subtract 1 from hit rolls that target the bearer. Grav inhibitor field, subtract 2 from target distance, and a different kind of plasma rifle. Fusion blades. So Farsight Enclave's model with 2 fusion blasters. Replace those with 2 fusion blades, which are basically Melta profile assault weapons with an assault 2 18-inch Melta shot. So that's pretty good. So if you are going to play Farsight Enclaves and you want to spend some CP on extra relics to make your commander a little bit of a combat beast, then this is your relic for that. Okay, points. This is what everybody wants to know. Here we go. I got the old index over here at the same time. Let's check it out. Cadre Fireblade, same points. Commander in XV8 Crisis Battle Suit. It's gone down. XV8 Crisis Battle Suit. Yeah, which I think is just the standard suit, if I'm mistaken. So that's gone down from 76 to 72. Enforcer Battle Suit is now 76, and the Cold Star is 90 as it was before. Ethereal is 45, and Long Strike is 137, which it was before. So no real changes there, maybe a slight decrease in the commander. Breachers. Breachers are 8, now they're 7, so your basic breachers have gotten cheaper. And Kroot have gone down. They used to be 6 and now they're 5. Yep, so that's good. and strike team is now 7, and they used to be 8. So all your basic troops went down in price, which is great. So you can spam them out at much cheaper. And there's only a point drop, but when you're taking many of those, that does add up. The devilfish, where's the devilfish? 101, and now it's only 80. Wow. Okay, so the devilfish, which is like your basic rhino for Tau, is gone down to a very reasonable 80 points if you want to be pushing breachers up the field or using them to just sit on objectives or to be screened. So the devilfish is definitely much more usable now. Elites, so crisis suits are unchanged, which is unfortunate because I think they needed to come down in price. Firestrike Marksman 21, so it's unchanged. Ghost Kill 82, and it used to be 82, so it's the same. Kutox, Crew Shapers, Riptide 185, and the Riptide used to be 209. Okay, so the Riptide has come down 20 plus points. I don't know if that makes it super awesome now, but the guns have gotten a lot better. It has stratagems and it's cheaper. And the guns have gotten cheaper, as we'll see in a second. So I think there's a case for trying a Riptide or 2 or maybe 3 in your list. Maybe just 1 or 2 as a backfield, you know, pretty hard to kill, shoot 'em up sort of unit, which is kind of what it was before. Stealth Battlesuits 20, and that's unchanged. Okay, so there's the drop in the Riptide as we predicted. Crude Hounds are 4, as they were before. Very cheap, fast attack slot. Pathfinder team is 5, and they are 5 before. Piranhas are 38. So they were 45. Piranhas have come down to 38, and the drones below, and Vespid. Okay, so drones, let's see, the basic gun drone is gone up. So your basic gun drone, which was being spammed, is now 50% more expensive at 12 points instead of 5 points. So that's a big one. Let's see, shield drone was 8, and now it's 10. So your shield drones have gone up. Your stealth drones are unchanged. I didn't really see much stealth drones. Marker drones unchanged. Missile drones MV8. The numbers are all so confusing, but I should just get rid of all the numbers. I know it's really cool and everything, but missile drones are unchanged at 20. Interceptor drone, accelerator drone. Yeah, I don't think we saw anything of these. M52 shield drones unchanged. Sniper drones were 18, and now they're 18 still. Okay, so the big change is your spamming gun drones is now 50% more expensive, and yeah, so that's the big one. On Shi. Okay, Farsight 151. So none of these guys changed. Dark Strider 45, Shadow Sun 167. Dark Strider is such a great HQ for 45 points. I think he's your second HQ in a battalion, in a Tau Sept battalion, like a Commander. Dark Strider, that's your basic Tau Sept battalion or brigade. Okay, what else we got here? Tidewall parts, so forget that. The Storm Surge 180, and the Storm Surge used to be 180. So the Storm Surge is not really changed at all, which means probably you're not going to see it. What else do we got here? So support systems. Alright, support systems. Advanced targeting system for Riptide, Storm Surge, and Ghost Kills have gone up from 12. No. Hang on. Okay, so the advanced targeting system is now been separated out. So first, for all models, it's 50% more expensive. It used to be 8, and now it's 12. And then for Riptides and Ghost Kills, it went up to 18. The counterfire defense system went up from 5 to 10. The Iridium Battlesuit is 15 points for your 2+ armor saves, so probably not worth it considering you have character protection. Drone Controller is 5, it used to be 5. Early Warning Override on the big Battlesuits is 10. which used to be 8, and on everyone else it went down to 5. Homing beacon is 20 points. Multi-tracker is 10 points. It used to be 2, but now it's 10 points for everybody. It used to be 10 points just for Ghost Skill and Storm Surge, so now it's 10 points for everybody. The shield generator on Storm Surge is 40 points, which it was before. For everyone else is 8. Target lock is 12 points and 6 points unchanged. Velocity tracker 10 points and 2 points unchanged. Okay, so let's look at the weapons. Airburst fragmentation projector has gone down to 8. Burst cannon went down to 8 from 10. Cluster rocket went from 61 to 25. That's such a big drop. Psychic ion blaster from 18 to 18. Psychic ion rakers 39 points still. Destroyer missiles are still 10. Flamer fusion blasters 21 still. Fusion colliders went from 44 to 35, so that's for the ghost kill, got better. Heavy burst went from 55 to 35, so a 20-point drop in your heavy burst cannon. So I think you're seeing Riptides now for under 300 points, which is pretty good because they used to be over before. Heavy rail rifle on broadsides was 63 and now it's 35, so that makes those guys much cheaper. High output burst cannon 20 and 20. Missile pods 25, and they used to be 41. So high yield missile pods on broadsides from 41 down to 25. Again, a big drop for broadsides. Ion accelerator used to be 107, and now it's only 65. So that is a crazy drop. 107 for that is just crazy. So now it's much more reasonable at 65, and makes your Ion Riptide way cheaper. Although I think you still want to take the heavy burst. Ion rifle 7, crude guns free, marker lights 3, missile pods 24, neutron blaster blah 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 blah, plasma rifle 11, pulse blast cannon 43, that's a storm surge gun I believe. Pulse driver cannon still 97, so storm surge is really unchanged. Quad iron turret, so rail guns 38. Rail rifles went from 22 to 17. Seeker missiles still 5. Smart missile systems went down from 20 to 15, which is great, and the supremacy gun went down. So that is a drop for most of the commonly used guns. Melee weapons are all free, and that's it. Well, that is the new Tau Codex. I think it's good. I don't think it's going to be winning GTs. We don't know. I mean, you know, my opinion of Eldar was the same and is winning everything. So I think it's good. There is a lot of tools there. The stratagems are key. I think you got to run 2-3 battalions or a brigade in there. I think you run 3 detachments, each with a commander, 1 Tau Sept, 1 Borkon with your heavy shooters in it, and 1 something else. If you want to try the Farsight with some dropping battle suits, and you could do that. If you want to try Fire Warrior spam, you could do that. If you want to try, you could try lots of different things. I think a Riptide is good, or something definitely worth trying. I think you spam out Fire Warriors and Kroot as your deep strike shield, and then you shoot lots of Fire Warriors, and I think gun drones are still good, although 50% more expensive. If you want to talk Forge World, then the Yavara with the 14-inch 3 damage flamer is obviously good, and now you can deep strike, Manta strike drones. I think that's something I forgot to point out, but it looks like you can Manta strike drones, so it can bring all its drone protection with it. And so I think Tau is going to be quite a competitive army, and I look forward to redoing my list a little bit to take that into account. So I hope you enjoyed this read along. If you like this video, please like the video down below. Consider subscribing to our channel by clicking on the CanHammer symbol there. And if you really want to support what we do here at the channel, please consider supporting us on Patreon by clicking at the link up at the top. So thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you next time.